Video games have become incredibly advanced, surpassing even movies and music in technicality. They are not just a form of entertainment, they are a highly profitable industry that evolves rapidly with advancing technology. Games over a decade old can feel fantastic back then, but revisiting them now might not have the same charm. Gamers often find the graphics of these old games not as appealing in today's standards, or sometimes the controls can feel a bit clunky. Take GTA San Andreas for instance. It's hailed as one of the greatest open world games, but if GTA 5 Online had the same control scheme, it might not have gained the same popularity. Gameplay mechanics in older games might seem outdated too. For instance, early Resident Evil games used fixed camera angles and pre-rendered backgrounds due to technical limitations. Although we might have fond memories, these mechanics don't always stand up to the smooth experiences of modern games. I still have a soft spot for these classics, but even Capcom recognized the need for change. They shifted from fixed camera angles to third-person over-the-shoulder and first-person perspectives when real-time rendering became more feasible with modern hardware. Then there's the issue of outdated technology. Old-gen consoles lack processing power, limiting the amount of environmental detail that could be loaded. This often meant encountering loading screens when moving between areas, assets spawning right before our eyes, limited draw distance, and less complex animations. But not all old games suffer from these issues. Some classics still shine brightly. Despite their age, they manage to maintain a modern look and feel. In fact, some of them even outclass many modern games. These gems possess top-notch graphics, seamless gameplay, and controls that can rival those of today's releases. So let's dive into these amazing classics that have stood the test of time.
I'm old, not obsolete.
But to make it on this list, these games need exceptional visuals, gameplay, and controls. They should compete head-to-head with the best modern titles out there. Okay? Alright, let's begin. Forza Horizon is 10 years young, I mean old. It was cooked up by then upcoming developer Playground Games. Despite being a new studio, Playground Games pulled talent from renowned places like Codemasters, makers of Grid and Dirt, Bizarre, the creative minds behind Blur and Project Gotham Racing, Reflections, the creators of the incredible Driver series, and even Criterion Games responsible for Burnout and recently released Need for Speed Unbound.
Avengers! Assemble.
Their job was to create an open-world spin-off for existing Forza video game series. As a result, Forza Horizon hit the shelves in 2012 as the very first open-world Forza game. Even as the first entry in Forza Horizon series, it boasted a diverse and sizable open world. There were countless activities to dive into, a dynamic day and night cycle, and an array of cars with detailed interior and exterior designs, all customizable to your heart's content. But customization wouldn't mean much if the game couldn't showcase the details. Yet even for a game that's decade old, the visual fidelity in Forza Horizon is remarkable. It manages to display a plethora of details without a hitch in performance, rendering numerous objects flawlessly. Even though I'm not a huge fan of racing genre, Forza Horizon's controls and gameplay drew me in almost instantly. Its mechanics have stood the test of time, remaining engaging and enjoyable even by today's standards. The Forza Horizon series seem to be ruling the racing game genre at the moment, so it's no surprise that the first Forza Horizon remains relevant, as it kickstarted one of the best racing game series ever, even though it's now a decade-old game.
I had a hole in my second favorite drinking arm, and the only way we were likely to get Fabiana back now was in installments.
Max Payne 3, released in 2012, is also a game that still holds up well even today. One of the main reasons for its enduring appeal is its straightforward gameplay. Its simplicity makes the gameplay highly effective. Being a linear game, the gunplay is sharp and the go system is visually striking, especially in comparison to other Rockstar games. Thanks to Euphoria, the physics system unique to Rockstar games, every moment feels carefully crafted and remains engaging even after hours of gameplay. When you add bullet time to the mix, the results are exceptional. The seamless transition from cutscenes to gameplay enhances immersion, connecting the gameplay and the story seamlessly. Plus, environmental destructions look natural and the enemy AI is impressive. They don't expose themselves like Arnie in Predator.
Come on, kill me, I'm here!
They often take cover, shoot from different angles, flank us in various ways, and different enemy types fight differently. So we have to use bullet time, cover, and all gameplay features in our arsenal to survive. It doesn't appear like a decade-old game. Even if Rockstar were to polish the game slightly, bumping up the resolution to 4K and re-release it today, it would surely sell like hotcakes.
Shut up and take my money!
Some fans might not have appreciated the shift in tone compared to the first two games, but personally I enjoyed its story as well. Despite the differences in tone, Max Payne 3 was developed using high-end technology, even by today's standards, making it a kick-ass game even after a decade.
You remember the wise guys we used to see when we was kids? Yeah, why?
Mafia 2 came out in 2010 and it was supposed to be an open world game, but it felt more like a straight up linear game with a big map. There was nothing much to do in the open world except follow the main campaign. But compared to other open world games from 2010, Mafia 2 was pretty detailed. It had the crazy level of details that we usually see in linear games rather than open world games. So it was pretty impressive for its time, because the missions are all different and well made, have a gripping story, and the cutscenes are Hollywood level. Some of the characters look weird, but most of them look great. And the shooting is not the best, but it's still decent. However, one of the best things about Mafia 2 is its animations, because they are awesome. The vehicles handle well and they feel heavy. That's just amazing. And the funny thing is, Mafia 2 had smarter enemies than its sequel, Mafia 3. Overall, Mafia 2 is a better game than Mafia 3 in my opinion. Another thing that shows how good Mafia 2 was is that when they remastered it, it had more problems than the original game, even though it's 12 years old. Mafia 2 really takes you back to the 50s, which is not something you see often in games. It's a great way to experience that time period with its music, fashion and culture. And if you want to see what happened after the amazing Mafia 1 remake or the original Mafia, Mafia 2 is still worth playing, even though it's a 12 years old game.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
You know, I used to be a fan of Far Cry and Ubisoft games in general, but they got boring and repetitive without any innovation or variety, falling into the same checkbox gameplay loop. Far Cry 3 was a different story though. The story follows Jason Brody. His character arc is great and the game gradually shows how he changes from a boy into a man. Even pirates are afraid of him. One of the neat details that shows his growth is how the enemies act around him. At first they mock him, but as we level up, they lose their marbles when they see him or fight him. That's a nice touch. But as a character, Jason pales in comparison to the game's villain, Vaz. He's one of the greatest villains in gaming in my opinion. His crazy yet intense demeanor is truly terrifying.
Look at me. Look me in the fucking eye. Hey! You fuck! Look me in the eye! You're my bitch. I rule this fucking kingdom. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, by the way, there's a fun fact about Vaz. Initially, he didn't exist in Far Cry 3. The actor who voiced him, Michael Mando, auditioned for another role, but he didn't get it. However, the animation directors at Ubisoft were impressed by his audition, and they somehow wanted him in the game. So they made up a new character called Vaz just for him, and they even made him look like Michael. Since Michael is a French-Canadian actor, he also did the French voiceovers for Vaz. That's pretty cool, right?
Wrong!
Even Far Cry 3 is the first game in the series to have a complete stealth system, so the players have the freedom to go in guns blazing or take out an entire base without being seen. And the newer Far Cry games still use the open world structure introduced in Far Cry 3. It was amazing back then, even though it has gotten repetitive and outdated now. Then the shooting felt solid, and the game had a lot of different weapons with great customization features. Far Cry 3 also introduced a level up system, and the game's world still looks stunning by today's standards. Plus, it's safe to say that it had a decent sized open world, especially for its time.
Zeus! Your son has returned. I bring the destruction of Olympus!
God of War has always been known for its awesome hack and slash gameplay, stunning graphics, epic boss battles, and level design. So God of War 3 is no exception. It has everything that made the previous God of War games awesome. Plus it has some new features that make it even better. If you are into the technical side of games, you might know that if developers were able to harness the power of the PS3, they could have created visually appealing and high-performing games for it. God of War 3 is a prime example of this, as it looks amazing and runs smoothly. However, God of War 3 is a considerably shorter game than the 2018 God of War reboot. You can finish it in about 9 or 10 hours, but those hours are packed with non-stop action and amazing set pieces. So there's no wasted time on boring walking segments or endless talking scenes here. This might be why some OG God of War fans still prefer God of War 3 over the reboot, even though both games are excellent games, plus quick time events, which have received criticism in the gaming community. Yet God of War 3 is a game that knows how to do QTEs right.
I'm a god, boy.
That's also why the boss battles in God of War 3 are so memorable. Even Santa Monica Studios spent months just to plan some of these epic encounters. And God of War 3 had huge enemies like Atlas and the Titans that take up most of the screen. The battles with these enemies and the level design remain impressive even after 13 years. No matter how many objects are being rendered on the screen, the game maintains a stable performance with seamless action. Plus, most notably, there are minimal loading screens after the initial loading sequence. It's just seamless fun. The controls also feel natural. Even modern hack and slashes like Devil May Cry 5 and Bayonetta 3 still have similar core combat mechanics as God of War 3. So players used to playing newer hack and slashes might not even notice that they are playing a game that's over 13 years old. However, God of War 3 is probably the most violent game in the series. And if you started with the 2018 God of War reboot, you can learn how Kratos, aka God of War, became Dad of War by playing God of War 3.
Do you understand why I'm here?
Killzone 2 was made by Guerrilla, the same awesome team behind Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. Killzone 2 has amazing character models and weapon designs. If you have played any of the Horizon games, you know how good they are at creating characters. So Killzone got the same treatment as Horizon, and the gameplay is still fun. Super fun. Even I played it last week and I was thinking that it's still better than some modern shooters. The enemy AI is smart, so you can't just run and gun. You have to plan, use the environment, and play tactically to survive. It also used physics to make the gameplay more realistic and immersive. The controls are a bit different from modern shooters, but it doesn't take long to get used to them. And the gameplay is awesome, even after 14 years. It's like Guerrilla went to the future to see what games would be like before making Killzone 2. It's that good.
Who sent you?
You did. 35 years from now, you reprogrammed me to be your protector here, in this time.
This is deep.
The environmental destruction is also pretty good. And the gunplay feels weighty, which is what you want from a war game. Plus, Sony consoles are not always known for multiplayer compared to Xbox or PC. But Killzone 2 changed that, because its multiplayer is not only fun, but also addictive. Even after Sony shut down the official multiplayer servers, Killzone 2 fans made their own service called PS Online Network Emulated to play Killzone 2 online multiplayer even today. Well, that's rare for a console game. And even in the offline campaign, Killzone 2 delivers scripted chase sequences like in Uncharted, turret segments and many other fun and engaging gameplay elements. Not to mention that the visuals and dynamic lighting of Killzone 2 are breathtaking. Guerrilla even customized their game engine just to improve the lighting. But I personally didn't like the dark brown tone all over the game, and some motion controls that can be disabled might not appeal to some people. However, Sony and Ubisoft made a game called Haze that they marketed as a Halo killer, but it turned out to be a joke. And the original Killzone was also called a Halo killer by some people, but it too ended up being a mediocre shooter. However, Killzone 2 didn't kill Halo either, but Guerrilla managed to make a first-person shooter that wasn't just a copy of Halo, or maybe it was even better at some point. It's one of the best first-person shooters ever made. Actually, I really wanted to keep this video short, so I had to reduce the number of games for this video to 6, instead of the originally planned 12 games. So I'm ending this video here. But if you enjoyed this video, show some love by giving it a like and sharing it wherever you can. Alright guys, let's catch up in the next video.
Bye bye.